নমস্কার, আমি হিমাদ্রি। আপনাদের সকলকে জানাই মেরি ক্রিসমাস এবং হ্যাপি নিউ ইয়ারের অগ্রিম শুভেচ্ছা। আর মাত্র কয়েকটা দিনের অপেক্ষা, তারপরেই স্লেজ গাড়ি চেপে আসবে সান্টা, আর নতুন উদ্যম আর উৎসাহ নিয়ে আমাদের কাছে এসে ধরা দেবে নতুন বছর। তবে স্লেজ গাড়ি না হলেও রেলগাড়ি করে কিন্তু আজ আমরা অর্থাৎ গল্পকার আপনাদের উত্তরে নিয়ে যাব বলে হাজির হয়েছি। না, উত্তর মেরু নয়, তবে তবে আর কি, কানে ইয়ারফোন লাগিয়ে নিন আর মন দিয়ে শুনুন রাস্কিন বন্ড রচিত আমাদের আজকের গল্প, দ্য আইস হ্যাভ ইট।
Hello everyone, I am Shamoita. Team Golpokar wishes you Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year in advance. In a few days, Santa Claus will arrive in his sledge bringing joy, and the new year will arrive with new hopes and enthusiasm. However, although not on a sledge, yet Golpokar is going to take you to the north on a trip by the rail. No, not the North Pole, but then where? Let's find out. Plug in your earphones and listen to today's story, our presentation of The Ice Have It by Ruskin Bond.
I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohan. Then a girl got in. The couple who saw her off were probably her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of the windows, and how to avoid speaking to strangers. They called their goodbyes and the train pulled out of the station. As I was totally blind at the time, my eyes were sensitive only to light and darkness. I was unable to tell what the girl looked like, but I knew she wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would. But I liked the sound of her voice, and even the sound of her slippers. "Are you going all the way to Tehran?" I asked. I must have been sitting in a dark corner, because my voice startled her. She gave a little exclamation and said,
I didn't know anyone else was here.
"Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. They have too much to take in, I suppose. Whereas people who cannot see or see very little have to take in only the essentials, whatever registers most tellingly on their remaining senses." "I didn't see you either," I said, "but I heard you come in." I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind. Provided I keep to my seat, I thought, it shouldn't be too difficult. The girl said,
I am getting down at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there.
"Then I had better not get too familiar," I replied. "Aunts are usually formidable creatures."
Where are you going?
She asked. "To Dehra and then to Mussoorie."
Oh, how lucky you are. I wish I were going to Mussoorie. I love the hills, especially in October.
"Yes, this is the best time," I said, calling on my memories. "The hills are covered with wild dahlias. The sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of a log fire and drink a little brandy. Most of the tourists have gone, and the roads are quiet and almost deserted." "Yes, October is the best time." She was silent. I wondered if my words had touched her, or whether she thought me a romantic fool. Then I made a mistake. "What is it like outside?" I asked. She seemed to find nothing strange in the question. Had she noticed already that I could not see? But her next question removed my doubts.
Why don't you look out of the window?
She asked. I moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. The window was open and I faced it. Making a pretense of studying the landscape, I heard the panting of the engine, the rumble of the wheels, and in my mind's eye, I could see telegraph posts flashing by. Have you noticed? I ventured. That the trees seem to be moving while we seem to be standing still?
That always happens.
She said.
Do you see any animals?
No, I answered quite confidently. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehra. I turned from the window and faced the girl. And for a while we sat in silence. You have an interesting face, I remarked. I was becoming quite daring, but it was a safe remark. Few girls can resist flattery. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh.
It's nice to be told I have an interesting face. I'm tired of people telling me I have a pretty face.
Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I. And aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty,
You are a very gallant young man.
she said.
But why are you so serious?
I thought then that I would try to laugh for her. But the thought of laughter only made me feel troubled and lonely. We will soon be at your station, I said.
Thank goodness it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 or 3 hours.
Yet I was prepared to sit there for almost any length of time, just to listen to her talking. Her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter, but it would stay with me for the rest of the journey and for some time after. The engines whistled straight, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. I wondered if she wore her hair in a bun or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders. Or was it cut very short? The train drew slowly into the station. Outside there was the shouting of porters and vendors, and a high-pitched female voice near the carriage
Where are
door.
you?
The voice must have belonged to the girl's aunt.
Goodbye.
The girl said. She was standing very close to me, so close that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing. I wanted to raise my hand and touch her hair, but she moved away. Only the scent of perfume still lingered where she had stood. You may break, you may shatter the vase if you will, but the scent of the roses will linger there still. There was some confusion in the doorway. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Then the door banged and the world was shut out again. I returned to my berth. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off. Once again, I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. The train gathered speed, the wheels took up their song, the carriage groaned and shook. I found the window and sat in front of it, staring into the daylight. That was darkness for me. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be a fascinating game, guessing what went on out there. The man who entered the compartment broke into my reverie.
You must be disappointed.
He said.
I am not nearly as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left.
She was an interesting girl, I said. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short?
I don't remember.
He said, sounding puzzled.
It was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. She was completely blind. Didn't you notice?
আপনারা এতক্ষণ শুনছিলেন দ্য আইস হ্যাভ ইট। গল্পের কথকের চরিত্রে ছিলাম আমি হিমাদ্রি, মহিলা যাত্রীটির ভূমিকায় ছিল সময়িতা এবং আগন্তুক নতুন যাত্রীর চরিত্রে ছিল অথর্বা। এই গল্পটি সর্বপ্রথম দ্য আইস হ্যাভ ইট শিরোনামে প্রকাশিত হয়েছিল। এরপর 1991 খ্রিস্টাব্দে এই একই গল্প দ্য আইস হ্যাভ ইট এবং দ্য আইস আর নট হিয়ার নামে যথাক্রমে অক্সফোর্ড ইউপি এবং সাহিত্য একাডেমি থেকে প্রকাশিত হয়। তবে যে নামেই গল্পটি প্রকাশিত হোক, রাস্কিন বন্ড তার গল্পের নাম নির্বাচনে চোখ তথা আইস শব্দটিকে বিশেষ মর্যাদায় ব্যবহার করেছেন। দৃষ্টিহীনতার এক অন্য সংজ্ঞা, এক অনন্য অনুভূতি আমাদের কাছে তুলে ধরেছেন আমাদেরই প্রিয় লেখক।
You were listening to an audio adaptation of The Eyes Have It by Ruskin Bond. In this presentation, the narrator's role was enacted by Himadri. The girl's role was played by Shomoita and the stranger's role was played by Atharva. This story was first published under the title The Eyes Have It. After that, in the year 1991, the same story was published under the titles The Eyes Have It and The Eyes Are Not Here in Oxford University Press and Sahitya Academy publications respectively. However, whichever title might have been used for this story, it is noteworthy that Ruskin Bond has used the word eyes in a special sense. Our favorite author has provoked us to think of blindness in a different connotation.
রাস্কিন বন্ড একজন ব্রিটিশ বংশোদ্ভূত ভারতীয় সাহিত্যিক। তিনি 1934 সালের 19 মে কাসুলিতে জন্মগ্রহণ করেন। বন্ড তার জীবনের অনেকটা সময় কাটিয়েছেন হিমালয়ের পাদদেশে। আমরা তার সেই জীবন দর্শনের প্রতিফলন দেখতে পাই তার অসংখ্য লেখায়। এই গল্পেও তার বর্ণিত প্রকৃতির রূপ, রস, গন্ধ আমাদের নিশির ডাকের মতন দেরাদুনে নিয়ে যায়। ট্রেনের ওই দুই যাত্রীর মতোই আমরা পাঠক শ্রোতারাও তখন অন্ধ। স্কুলে পড়ার সময় রাস্কিন বন্ড অসংখ্য লেখনী প্রতিযোগিতায় অংশগ্রহণ করেছিলেন এবং জিতেও ছিলেন। এদের মধ্যে উল্লেখযোগ্য হলো ডিভিনিটি প্রাইজ এবং হাইলি লিটারেচার প্রাইজ। তিনি তার প্রথম ছোট গল্প আনটাচেবল রচনা করেছিলেন মাত্র 16 বছর বয়সে এবং তার প্রথম উপন্যাস তথা আংশিক আত্মজীবনী দ্য রুম অন দ্য রুফ রচনা করেছিলেন মাত্র 17 বছর বয়সে। এই উপন্যাসের জন্য রাস্কিন বন্ড 1957 সালে জন লেওয়েলিন রিচ পুরস্কারে ভূষিত হন। বন্ডের রচনা একাধিকবার সিনেমার পর্দায় মুক্তি লাভ করেছে, যাদের মধ্যে উল্লেখযোগ্য আ ফ্লাইট অফ পিজিয়ন্স নামক ঐতিহাসিক উপন্যাস অবলম্বনে শ্যাম বেনেগাল পরিচালিত হিন্দি চলচ্চিত্র জুনুন এবং ছোট গল্প সুজানা সেভেন হাজবেন্ডস অবলম্বনে বিশাল ভারদ্বাজের চলচ্চিত্র সাতখুনমা। তার ছোটদের উপন্যাস অবলম্বনে নির্মিত চলচ্চিত্র ব্লু আমব্রেলা 2007 সালে জাতীয় পুরস্কার লাভ করে। রাস্কিন বন্ডকে 1992 সালে সাহিত্য একাডেমি পুরস্কার, 1999 সালে পদ্মশ্রী এবং 2014 সালে পদ্মবিভূষণ পুরস্কারে সম্মানিত করা হয়।
Ruskin Bond is an Indian author born in British lineage. He was born on 19th May 1934 in Kasauli. He has spent a significant period of his lifetime in the foothills of Himalayas. In his innumerable works, we find a reflection of the aesthetic sense and philosophy shaped by his life in the hill stations. In this story as well, we are fascinated by the essence of Dehradun as we travel mentally to the place. Like the passengers in the train, the readers also remain blind. Ruskin Bond had participated and won awards in a number of competitions when he was in school. Two important awards amongst them are the Divinity Prize and the Haley Literature Prize. He wrote his first story, Untouchable, at the age of 16 years. He wrote his first novel, The Room on the Roof, at the age of 17 years, which was semi-autobiographical in nature. Ruskin Bond was awarded the John Llewellyn Rhys Award in the year 1957 for this novel. Many of his works were later released as movie adaptations. Some examples are the historical novel A Flight of Pigeons was turned into the movie Junoon by Shyam Benegal, and the short story Susanna's Seven Husbands came out as a movie Saat Khoon Maaf by Vishal Bharadwaj. The movie Blue Umbrella, based upon his novel for children with the same title, received the National Award in the year 2007. Ruskin Bond was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in the year 1992, the Padma Shri in 1999 and the Padma Vibhushan in 2014.
আজকে সমগ্র কাহিনীটির মূল ভাবনা, এডিটিং এবং বাস্তবায়নের নেপথ্যে ছিলাম আমি হিমাদ্রি। আমাদের আজকের চ্যানেলে যে থিম সঙ্গীতটি আপনারা শুনেছেন তার পরিবেশনা করেছে অথর্বা, এবং আজকের পরিবেশনার আবহ সঙ্গীত পরিবেশনা করেছে অরিত্র, অথর্বা এবং আমাদের ছোট্ট বন্ধু সূর্য। এই গল্প এবং আমাদের চ্যানেলে আগে প্রকাশিত প্রত্যেকটি গল্প, কবিতা আমরা ভারতবর্ষের বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে মোবাইল কলের মাধ্যমে পাঠ ও রেকর্ড করেছি। আমাদের পরিবেশনা আপনাদের কেমন লাগলো তা অবশ্যই জানাবেন। আজকের পরিবেশনা আমরা এখানেই শেষ করছি। খুব শীঘ্রই সাক্ষাৎ হবে একটি নতুন গল্প নিয়ে। আপনাদের সুস্থতা কামনা করি। ধন্যবাদ।
The concept, editing and materialization of today's presentation has been entirely executed by Himadri. The theme song in our channel has been presented by Atharva, and the background score for today's presentation has been presented by Atharva, Oritro and our little friend Shurjo respectively. This story and all the other presentations of our channel has been created by us through reading and recording from different parts of the country. Please leave your valuable opinions about our presentation in the comment section. We end today's presentation here. We'll meet you soon with a new story. Prayers for your well-being. Thank you.